This is a hot new game show, my favorite metric. We're going to have 5 contestants come on and tell you, they get 3 minutes to tell you what their favorite metric is and why. 1 slide, 3 minutes. The winner gets a ticket to next year's S4. And to help me judge this, I have 2 celebrity judges, Maggie Morganti and Harp. Please welcome them. Thank you both for agreeing to judge. Did you coordinate this?
Yeah, the answers will be TLP red and TLP yellow.
Okay,
the scorings.
Okay. And we left green back in the green room.
Yeah, the green's in the green room. He couldn't hack it.
Okay, and now I just want to tell you the judging criteria is completely your own. It can be fashion sense, it can be poise, it can be anything you want. It can be mathematics, statistics, relevance, whatever you want, okay? Then they're going to judge on a scale of 1 to 10. But let's bring out our first contestant, Debbie Gordon. Okay, let's put Debbie's slide on the monitor here and up top. Let's put it up top so they can see it. Okay, slide, 3 minutes. You're up.
Thanks.
Oh, good luck.
I thought this was karaoke. Hi, everyone. So I would like everyone to think about all of the major breaches that you've seen and heard about in the world. Every single one of them, the companies that they occurred in had millions, if not 10 millions of dollars worth of technology that were supposed to make that not happen. But the people who were supposed to detect and respond to those attacks simply didn't know what they were looking at or looking for. Most risk metrics, if you think about people, process, and technology, are focused only on process and technology and compliance, but people are never measured in terms of cyber risk. So we look at the talent gap risk metrics, and how many of you are familiar with the fact that there is a talent shortage in cybersecurity? Yes, even more so in OT. And so we have to be able to measure risk as it pertains to those people that are sitting in those seats, what they know, what they're capable of. So we've taken the NIST framework for cybersecurity education, as well as the MITRE ATT&CK frameworks, as well as other frameworks, and we're able to measure the different knowledge, skills, abilities that people have against what they should have based on a defined work role, and look at the delta between those. We also look at the different elements of the different frameworks, such as the MITRE ATT&CK frameworks, and we can also look at how many different types of TTPs people are prepared to respond to and what they've practiced on. So without giving a whole bunch of algorithms and IP away, we can look at a risk score and measure risk specifically by person, by team, and by department in terms of what skills and competencies people have versus what they need to be successful. And risk scores obviously have to be actionable, and so when you get that risk score, then you can see what type of training and education those people need to true it up and minimize the risk of a breach. Thank you very much.
All right.
Time to spare.
That was great. Keep the mic, we might talk to you.
All right.
So I'm going to start this time. Maggie, why don't you, we give her a score on 1 to 10, but you're welcome to opine on what you thought as well.
Is my scoring paddle under the chair, or am I doing this with my hands?
You have to do it like with your body.
Interpretive dance?
You know, like.
No, I would give this a solid 7. I think that, you know, our talent gap is a very real problem. And I think that, you know, the points you bring up about making sure that we have, you know, solid skills and competencies for the roles is very important. I would have liked to see more buzzwords. The 3D rating, I didn't hear anything about, you know, SANS and being able to help us solve the talent shortage completely. So, you know, SANS and buzzwords, I think were the only, you know, the down ratings for me.
And we didn't hear S4 either, so that.
Yes, yeah. Well, and there was no on-ramp mentioned.
There you go. Okay, so 7, and your score?
So I wanted to give her, I came out to 7.6832, and you said I couldn't do a decimal.
can't do that math.
So I'm going to round up to 8. The people problem is big, and you know that's sort of near and dear to my heart. So you had an advantage as soon as you started talking about the people problem. So I like it. The talent gap risk metric, I think we should be looking at that. It's pretty solid.
Okay, and since the woman with the green shirt didn't make it today. I'm the third judge, and you always need one nasty judge in the group, right? And I'm so well qualified to do that. So I'm gonna give you a 6. I really like this, but to me, it's a measure, again, of the implementation of something. It's not the measure of how good it is. So you have created this, each role should have these things, and then this will test, I think, very well, do our people actually know what we think they should know? But
no, it's what they think they should, it's what the organization thinks their people should know.
Yeah, what the organization thinks they should know, but it's not actually measuring, so it's measuring more the implementation of training. But I think it's a solid metric. I do like it. So we have a 6, a 7, and an 8. So if my math is right, you scored a 7, and you are in first place. So thank you very much. Thank you. No, just go off. Okay,
Hello,
our
everyone.
next contestant is Jesus Molina. So
Hi.
we'll put 3 minutes on the clock, and let's wait till your slide's up.
All right.
That's your slide, right?
Perfect, yes, that's my-
Okay,
my
go
slide.
for it.
All right, first, thank you, Obscura, for yesterday giving me a super hangover today. My metric is about inbound information, all right? So the risk of inbound information. This is a very interesting metric because, like, everything in OT cybersecurity is about the risk of protecting from data. Not the risk of protecting the data, but the risk of protecting from data. Imagine these two extreme examples. One, it's a relief valve, right? It's not connected to anything, nothing receives no information from anywhere. It's what we call an unhackable safe word. Cannot be hacked. It's perfect cybersecurity. Imagine the other part, like the same relief valve connected to the open internet. Anything can be sent information. This valve will be hacked. This is the worst case scenario. So now, how we can measure this? And there is like 4 things that are critical to understand how we can get this information. It's the quantity and quality of information, the controls that we can use to discard the data that comes into your system, and the trustworthiness of the source. Is it from the OT guy? Is it from the IT guys? I have like a simple example there, and again, this metric is used by IDSs all the time. This is not a new metric. I'm here to demystify it, right? So in this quick example I put there, imagine 3 trains. The first train can only receive information from OT guys. It's not connected to IT, nothing. The second train, because of SLA, requires to have a SIM card to connect to the vendor, the train manufacturer. The third train can receive any information they want from IT to send video to the train, to send, like anything. As you can see, I put some numbers there, and the numbers are consistent with our intuition. The first train will be absolutely, that's really quite secure. The second, not so much, and the third, it will be a mess, right? So this is consistent with our intuition. But actually, you can make these functions as complex as you want. You can use entropy to understand the complexity of the data. And actually, most ADS vendors, if you see all these risk things, that they use like the complexity of OT protocols, etc. Now, this equation has something that is a little bit more profound. Imagine we can rebuild the internet from scratch. We will get rid of TCP, all these machines don't care about ACKs, machines, we don't care about anything. They care about information that goes outside the machine, which is IT, and information coming to the machine, which is OT, operations. We care about, and if we can divide the internet in this, we create this, like only 2 flows of information. One will protect by IT, information, and the second one will protect it by us, by operations, protecting from the data.
Wow, right on the mark. 3 minutes exactly. Oh, please keep that, keep that. Okay. So, Derek, let's start with you this time. 1 to 10, what do you think?
This is tough. I went back to college calculus, and I was having some
flashbacks. A lot of equations there, huh?
But I do like the Greek, having a sort of a Greek number or symbol in there. That was pretty good. Yeah, that's involved. So I'm still sort of figuring out the formula myself and the weighting. And
take your time.
I'm going to go with, for me, I'm going to go with a 6. I'm still trying to process on it. I'm still trying to figure out all the pieces of it. Yeah.
It would be a little hard to explain to an executive, wouldn't
Well, that's what I think. There's a lot, and I need more time with it. And there's no beer ISAC quotient in there, which I think would have been worth one more point.
Okay, so 6?
Yeah.
Maggie?
I'm going to agree with you on a base score of 6, but I think if we have any of the illustrious DoD members from that panel in the audience, I think for DoD this would be uprated to an 8. I am impressed by the ability to fit DoD level death by PowerPoint onto one slide here.
Okay.
Very nice.
Well,
very nice.
This is
And I
more
mean that in
about,
the kindest way possible.
when I got the email from him, he told me very clearly, you need an equation, you need to be, very precise with quantitative things.
Okay, your 3 minutes are up.
Which I did.
I would, I think my favorite thing about this is your adjective. You called your statistic profound. Very rarely do I find a profound statistic, so I like that. But I'm actually going to be a little nicer this time. I'm going to give it a 7, but I think that maybe is like 6 1/3. So I think Debbie is still in the lead. But thank you very much for playing. Go ahead, take that off with you. Okay, our next contestant is Ron Fabella. Ron, come on stage. Please give a hand for Ron. Can we put Ron's slide up? And we got 3 minutes. That's you. You're on.
Awesome.
This
Good morning,
is the quality
S4.
PowerPoint I'm looking for.
This is obviously super serious, but last year I challenged everyone and myself to look for the great people in the community, to amplify and to really elevate those. But I did a bad thing. I didn't give you any way to quantify that. So this year, here's how we quantify our own actions, our organization's actions, or even the community actions in a 1 through 10 GOAT system. So we're familiar with the common vulnerability scoring system. This is the common GOAT scoring system. So I like to take the most generous assumptions about actions, which is sometimes difficult when you hear about buzzwords and beer ISAC and making fun of DoD slides. So really we should all start in the 4 to 6 GOAT area. So if you hear about buzzwords like zero trust, or someone has a death database, or I discovered malware that could destroy the world, you know what, let's just tone it down. Let's just make the most generous assumption that they're trying to help the community, and let's evaluate that. Let's look for the excellence and maybe look for opportunities to like really elevate and support those groups. Now, on the other hand, though, we can't just all be happy Bob Ross, happy little accidents, right? There are some instances where we could do better. So let me give a few examples, right? So if you do have a database of events that are tied to cyber attacks that have a loss of human life, you have that, you use that, and maybe you're not giving it away for free, or not really putting it out, but you know what, that's okay. Now maybe, you found some malware, you can't give out the samples, but give out the information, do the best you can. The example's gone on, but you know what, a 4 to 6 GOAT rating, that's all right. Now there are some instances where maybe the dirty marketing gets in, or I have this database, so I'm not going to give it to anyone because it's mine, and in fact, if you ask for it, you're wrong. And there's all these things that we can recognize the tendencies of no bad goats. There are no bad goats, by the way, in the world, but maybe they're just misled. Maybe they don't have a good shepherd to herd them through this process. So to recognize that, maybe reach out to that person and be like, hey, what if you took this approach? How can I help you? This isn't an evaluation of either yourself or others to demean, but to actually go out and reach and assist those goats in being great goats or outstanding goats. So recognize, reach out. Maybe if this is yourself, rethink your approach. Have a different focus, either not on yourself or your organization or even your circle. Broaden out outside of industrial, reach out and elevate. I talked about the 4 to 6 goats. You want to start there. Everyone wants to be good goats, but really you want to be outstanding goats. And here is a picture of my goats that are outstanding in their field. And I hope for this year that you are also outstanding in your field, like my goats, puzzle pieces in Salem. But really, the goal here is we all want to do better. Not just for ourselves, not just for our community, but for everyone. Everyone outside of this room, now that we're 1,000 plus, reach out to the community, be great goats, and thank you.
All right. I didn't see this one. This is a last-minute change because before I thought it was like the number of incidents in this private database that no one had ever seen before. But that you changed. But this is very good. This is very good.
What?
Let's
You're
see.
not in goat engineering, so you really shouldn't talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So.
half the room's like, what are they talking about?
Okay. Maggie, let's start with you.
For me as a fellow Tennessean,
Yeah.
we had goats, we had community building, we had puns. For me, it's a 10.
Wow.
Thank you.
Holy cow.
We did not collude. We have not discussed
There was
any of
no
these in
collusion.
advance. And, I grew up in the Midwest in farm country. The joke of outstanding in their field, we applied that to cows, but there wasn't
right.
a drive we ever took without using that joke. This is also a 10 for me. I think you're going to Las Vegas.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Uh-oh.
Well, the shoes were a big part of, you came out the shoes. I thought it was going to be a 10. But on my island, there's a lot of goats.
My island. It's my island.
Where I live, on the island I live, I don't own all of Maui yet. But my neighbors have goats.
Yeah.
And they're always getting in my yard.
They're bad
so
goats.
I am not liking those goats. So I'm going to give you a 4.
Oh, wow.
So 24 divided by 3, I think that's 8.
Still an 8.
Can we
I'll
go
take
to
it.
You're in the
I'll take
lead.
it.
Island?
Congratulations. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Okay, our next contestant is Craig Duckworth. Come on out, Craig. Little applause for Craig.
Thank you.
That's your slide, right?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
take it away. Start the clock.
Hi, thank you. I want to talk to you a little bit about a connected device vulnerability index study and why that is my favorite OT cybersecurity metric. What we do is we look at all of the assets in the OT environment and we score those against the published CVEs that are there today. Then we evaluate them against any of the known exploits that are ran against those to determine a importance of that inside the environment. Then we look at where they fit in the process of the control systems and the levels of the Purdue model in the organization and what they are actually doing from an asset standpoint for that process. Secondly, we take each of those devices and we're trying to determine the visibility into the environment, how much of that control sample or entire process area that we are seeing so that we know how much we are seeing from a visibility standpoint. Finally, what we do is we take that and we are trying to determine the age and vulnerabilities of those assets so that we can provide that data back into the organization so they can make decisions from their process control areas, determine how they can transfer the risk and evaluate their environment. So think of a FICO score in the OT environment as FICO is done for financial. It's a real life breathing metric that the organizations can use to track, are they getting better, are they staying stagnant, or are they actually getting worse from their cyber hygiene within that environment. This can be attributed across a fleet or one process area to start or an entire organization.
Great. Thank you. Well, I'll go first this time, and we'll go down this way. Excellent use of the stock photo. I think that's really nice. What I liked most about this was the PLC percentage visibility. I think since I'm hung up on insecure by design, I think the visibility to get to these things is a really important part of your index or your statistic there, your metric. So I'm going to give you tough. This is where I want to follow you. I want to give him a 7.5. So I don't know what I should do.
The decimal points are really good.
I'm going to
round up, right?
I'm going to round up and give you an 8. Derek?
I think your previous contestant that you're competing against, Jesus, his was very elegant and potentially profound formula. But I do like the simplicity of this formula. Maybe less profound, but maybe it's easy to digest. The FICO analogy is pretty strong. I'm inclined to go with an 8.3, but I'll go with 8 since I can't Yeah.
And Maggie, are you going to be the tough one this
You
time?
look worried, Dale. No, I mean, it's vulnerability management contextualized, so, you know, it's a soft spot in my heart. So I think for me, it's an 8 as well.
An 8. Congratulations, we have a
Thank
tie
you.
for first place, 2 8s.
Yay!
And our last contestant, come on out, Kenneth Crowther. Let me put his slide up. That is your slide, right?
Yes.
Okay, 3 minutes, let's go.
All right. When I was first asked to be the product security leader for GE Research, I had over 1,000 projects, and I needed a metric that met these criteria. I needed to make sure I could communicate that security wasn't everything. It was part of this bigger whole of rapidly delivering secure products. I needed to incorporate uncertainty. I needed to be explicit in the metric because I have to make decisions under uncertainty. I needed to make sure I didn't accidentally communicate that security is a destination because it's a journey. I'm going to ask them to do more in the future. And I need to be able to start with little data and be able to build. So this is how I do it now as a product security leader at Xylem. 3 questions for each product line. How much digital, right? How much of my product line has programmable logic or configurable network connections? I model this as a triangular distribution. Then what do I know is good or bad? The good are the things that I've approved because they've gone through some kind of rigorous product security program. The bads are things that I know that there are weaknesses and I haven't yet determined the exploitability. And then I need a 90% confidence interval for the revenue for that product line. You put these in Excel, you download SIPMath, a free simulation tool, you run the simulation, and you end up with these 2 outcome metrics. One is the survival function that describes the probability that the revenue at risk will exceed some amount. In the beginning, it's layers of judgments, so there's a lot of uncertainty kind of magnifying the frequency and consequence. And then you also get these priorities, right? The dots represent the average contribution of product A, B, C, or whatever, and their rank, right? 1, 2, 3. The lines then represent the uncertainty, so you make sure you're not accidentally focusing on something that just has a high average. So here's an example down at the bottom for some commercial HVAC-backed products. You'll see that some of these products, I have no idea how much digital, because they're constantly putting stuff. They're taking out electric circuit boards, and they're putting in chips with firmware, and I don't necessarily know. In some cases, I have no products that I know about yet, but there is some revenue. You simulate these in Excel. You end up with some revenue at risk. Here's an example for that commercial HVAC. And in this case, I ended up coming up with some good priorities because I found out that they were putting Bluetooth connectivity on safety controllers for boilers so that they could go and do diagnostics. I found out that they were starting to put gateways in these circulators for big buildings so that they could have remote control and diagnostics, and we were able to take these through a secure development process, and after I knew, they actually disappeared from the top of the list. So it fulfills these criteria. It does require some making of judgments and some Excel simulation using SIPMath, but ladies and gentlemen, revenue at risk.
Thank you. So Maggie, let's start with you this time.
I mean, I think the idea is solid. The slide's not too busy for me. It was well presented. I think for me it's solid 7.
Okay, I'll let you go last this time. I'm going to go next. You got to get the deciding vote.
Okay.
I like the title, Revenue at Risk. I mean, that is going to resonate with some decision makers. What I worry a little bit about is all the judgment underneath it. You know, it seems like it's judgment on top of judgment on top of judgment. And I think Doug Hubbard, the How to Measure Anything in Cybersecurity Risk, keeps telling me I shouldn't worry about that, but I'm still not past that in my mind. So a lot I like, a couple things I don't like. I guess I'm going to give it a 7.
You mentioned Excel. I love Excel, so I was sort of, you had me at Excel, but
You're the one.
yeah. So you know, the truth is, I like it, and I like the bringing business metrics into it. You know, not cybersecurity for cybersecurity's sake, but what's the full picture. So that, to me, I was headed towards somewhere between 8 and 9, and sort of, you know, since I'm going last, I'm going to give you the 9.
Okay. So what did you give him?
7.
7, 7, 9. Oh man, don't make me. So not quite. You're a little short of the 8. I'm sorry. I guess you're 7 2/3. But thank you very much. Making me do division on stage. Oh, boy. Okay, so let's bring Craig and Ron both on stage. So you're going to have to help me out here, audience.
90-second lightning round? No.
So we've got 2 people with the same score, so we're going to let you decide based on applause and noise. So we're going to start with Ron. Who think Ron won?
Kind of pretty strong.
I've never had goats in my life.
Okay. How about Craig? Okay, I'm sorry, that was too close. One more time.
Oh, gosh.
Ron. You lost some there, Ron. I'm sorry. Craig. Congratulations. You are the winner, but you will both get a free ticket to next year's S4, so you're both winners. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you all for your patience with our technical difficulties, and we'll see you at the next break, after the next break. Thank you.